Homesteads are Guild Wars 2's version of player housing, and the tools that we are given feel more like a pared-down dev kit to me. Some of the features are wild and brilliant, and I honestly feel like the devs could have reinvented the wheel again, redefined another genre within a genre, much like they did with mounts in Path of Fire, but at the moment their gameplay philosophy is kind of working against them and holding this feature back. And I'm going to have to report on some unfortunate and game-breaking bugs I've encountered with Homestead, so we've got quite a lot to talk about. But before we dive in, hey, I'm Fornax. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back. Please do pull up a chair, make yourself at home, put your feet up, get some Earl Grey goodness, and let's dive into the good, the bad, and the buggy of Homestead, as well as my wish list of features and tweaks that I would like to see in the future for this brilliant yet unrealized gameplay fascination. And if this video tickles your fancy, if you find anything of merit herein, please do feel free to push some buttons below. Here's a quick rundown of Homesteads for those who are just out of the loop. Playing through the story of Janthir Wilds unlocks Homesteads, which is a unique instanced, account-wide, account-bound, all your characters go to this single one player housing. So Guild Wars 2 player housing is leveled via its mastery system, completion of which gives you access to all the functionality of this new feature. And I should note that homesteads are not just a tiny patch of land with a little house stuck on it. It's a genuinely massive space with great depth and verticality, with all the decorative items being scalable, and there's no surface collision to speak of. It's wild. And if you log your alts into the homestead, they will populate it. So you can have your alt army and hang out with them and have them follow you around the instance and set them up for group photos, although a specific group photo feature would be much appreciated. The photo booth, Animal Crossing style, would be peak. But hey, I've already started my wish list before we've even finished describing the feature. So let's get back to it, because for all the freedoms that there are in the homestead, and there are many, there are some pre-placed immovable items which are just there and you can't do anything about them, such as all the buildings and the home instance collection items like mining nodes that you've collected, or if you have an army of angry cats, the kitty paraphernalia and the placement of the kitties is not your choice. So there are some things that are stuck, and we'll talk about that later, for sure. So if you have your brand new homestead, how do you decorate it? Well, you will need to craft items. You have a station here, and it's always here. It's another one of those immovable items. You can purchase recipes for homestead decorations from Janthir Wild NPCs on the open world map, and from seasonal NPCs, the latest one being the Halloween festival, where there's a plethora of new recipes, all very reasonably priced, that you can get at the time of recording. If you're listening to this later, look out for them in other events, and I'm sorry you'll have to wait until they roll around again. To craft the items, you have to have materials, and they're both mundane gathered stuff, which you gather for crafting anyway out in the world, and specific homestead reagents, some of which are harvested inside your homestead, and others which again are harvested and collected in the open world maps of Janthir Wilds. So at the time of writing, the collection aspect of homesteads is heavily embedded in the Janthir Wilds expansion, although I imagine that will change as new expansions release. Now we have an overview of the feature, let's talk about what's good with it. The size of the homestead is genuinely impressive. On your screen will be me running around, probably speed it up so that you can see just how vast it is. Players can hang items in the sky, they can bury them in the ground, they can have an aquatic bar or house if you want to. You can scale decorations up and down to your heart's content, although the scalability is limited per item. Placeable items have almost no restrictions on their placement, barring the waypoint exclusion zone. Some limitations there for functionality, but I have to say that placement is the freest and most versatile I have ever encountered in any game with housing, which is saying something. Again, this could be a genre redefining feature within this MMO niche, and there is huge amounts of replayability here as well. You can really go to town, although it would be nice to have a feature whereby you could save out what your homestead looks like a build template, and then flip it to your seasonal Christmas set or your Halloween set or the Silvari themed. Sorry, we're getting to my wish list again. Back to the script-ish in this video, so you'll have to forgive me. I might ramble a bit. The list of decorative recipes is growing with each content update, and the devs are integrating existing game assets over to this new system, probably battling a lot of bugs in their way. And I've got some good news for lore nerds, because if you, like me, like things to be grounded in the world, well, great news, because acquisition of the homestead is linked to the story. You can't get to the homestead, you can't even unlock the mastery for it to level it until you've played through the story, and that makes this content feel embedded in the world and not just handed to players as kind of a new gimmick, which is great for me. Bad might be a bit overkill. I don't think there's anything necessarily bad about it, but this is what I named my episode, so we're just going to roll with it. Let's look at some of Homestead's aspects which need a bit of TLC, or maybe missed the mark a bit, and talk about those bugs I experienced, or rather, I'm experiencing at the time of writing. And I try to be honest with my assessments of the game. I try not to be too shilly, too fangirly, although I have been playing since, dot. But I have to give an honest reflection of my gameplay experience, so we're going to get that today. It's not all kittens and roses. Players in the community have rightly pointed to the limited decorations available at the launch of Homesteads, and their lack of visual diversity. The team seems to have focused on delivering Lowland Coden themed stuff, which it's fair enough, it's linked to the story, we're here on the Isles of Janthir, but it does mean if fluffy Coden themed stuff is not your cup of Earl Grey tea, well, it's a sad day for you. And I genuinely did feel this myself when I was playing through, so it's a fair critique, which is already being addressed, which is always great news when the devs listen to the forums, they keep an eye on things, and they know that people wanted more diversity, and Halloween recipes are there with lots of ornate human-themed items, as well as Halloween-themed stuff, of course, and more and more being added to the game all the time, which is smashing. On to the locked stuff. So yeah, one of my main irritations with the homestead is the pre-placed locked decorations. Why am I unable to move the buildings, the portals, the cat stuff, the nodes, this Quaggan plushie for reasons? I can hide him, but he must be here. I can understand having some safeguards to stop players from ruining their own day and blocking their progress and losing their waypoint, maybe. Players be players. But honestly, to be clear, I want to be able to place my NPCs, my little old army, where I want to, and I want them to stay there and not disperse when I leave. I want to put the buildings where I want to, the nodes where I want to, everything where I want to. It's my house, my rules. And I don't really see any reason to lock them down in the first place, even if a player were to wall themselves in. The system has decorative tools, you can delete everything around you with a click of a button. So I don't understand it. So let's talk about the gameplay ethos which is holding back this game type. I'm going to talk about it specifically in relation to crafting. Because at the moment, crafting is quite restrictive. You have to use a heck of a lot of reagents to create these items for your home. The crafting system in itself is not very good, it's not very intuitive, you can't search by item, you're wading through a list of things that are arbitrarily chalked up into the different levels of crafting. So I really feel like they need to do a better job of the entire crafting system. The whole interface is it's not intuitive, there's no preview for the things that you want to craft, it's not good. But that's more a critique of the interface. But my main critique is that it's too much of a resource hog. If you want players to really engage with this new game type, it's Minecraft, the creative side inside of your MMO. If you really want players to kind of engage with this and have like emergent earned media and communities springing up around this, much like you've had with the flying system and the racing system, and there's all sorts of emergent gameplay from your player base. If you want that, then you need to loose up on the punitive reagent requirements for crafting. And this is where it comes down to philosophy. Do you want your players to have to work really, really, really hard and throw so much time into gathering in order to get decorations? Or do you want your players to spend the lion's share of their time using the decorations that they have crafted to create beautiful, immersive environments that will spawn much earned media that will attract more players who have a more creative building love in their hearts over to your MMO? It's hard to make it punitive with materials and incredibly productive on the other end, especially for casual players. Hardcore players will grind their face off on this and build extraordinary things. Other people who don't have the time to put into it will look at this feature and go, this could be amazing. Oh Lord, I can make 2 of those and I have to gather 75 of these, and this special reagent for the homestead, I can only have like so much of that a week. Oh my god, so I'm gonna have to like hoard this for the things because I'm not really interested in this stuff. I mean, making a forest would be nice, but that's a lot of this. And then it's the calculus of how much of my time I want to spend gathering stuff to how much I'll get out of it at the other end, making beautiful environments, making roleplay environments for my friends. And I feel like, personally, having interfaced with one of the best housing systems I ever have in Palia, I've had more fun. I have put hundreds and hundreds, and I think it's about 400 hours into just making beautiful gardens and buildings and forests and walks and all Ghibli-esque beauty, because it wasn't arduous. I spent a very small amount of time farming the reagents and a lot of time making these beautiful environments and sharing them with my friends and just having fun. And I feel like we have a situation here where it's like the fun police have arrived. No one's allowed to have too much fun in this feature. So we're going to make it punitive for you to do the crafting. And only the people who can either throw lots of money at it or throw lots of time at it can have all the fun things. That's my primary critique of Homesteads. Let's move on to other things that I would like to see change. So this is more like heading into my wish list, and I will talk about my bugs at the very end. But the video is chaptered, so you can dive to whichever part you want. So let's talk about colour palette, because when I first arrived in my homestead, I was quite kind of taken aback. It doesn't feel like the rest of the teddy bear version of Janthir Wilds, the shore. The Lonely Shore is very lush, it's full of trees, it's very green, it feels very rich and alive. And this homestead doesn't. Thematically, that fits perfectly with the story. However, I find it quite oppressive, the colour palette that has been chosen. So I would like there to be a choice of seasonal colour palettes. Let's say this is the autumn colour set. Now let's have a spring colour set where the ground is green, maybe tiny little flowers all over it. I can craft different colours of grasses and different types of grasses so that I can build an environment which is pleasant or wintry. Let's have snowfields. I know that there are snow piles that we already have and they'll probably be coming over from the guild halls, but you see what I mean. Let's have some themed palettes for the ground itself so that we can change up the feel of the homestead, be it seasonally, be it to do with different themes in the game. Let's have a Silvari theme set for the environs. Let's have a Norn theme set. Let's have a Krytan theme set. Let the rains go a bit. Let's have some fun. And speaking of which, let's talk about NPC placement. Let's have the ability to have our NPCs in our homestead and pose them, place them where we want. This is a feature that I've played with in Animal Crossing myself, another very cozy game that I love. And really, we could have a lot of fun with this. People have been wanting to be able to have their family of characters take screenshots together. I really hope that they iterate on this feature so that people can have more control, more possibility of their NPCs in their homesteads. On to wall and floor decorations and ground decorations, really. So in the house that we have at the moment, it is very wood cabin, obviously themed to the story, perfectly fine. However, it would be nice if we could have some wall decorations specifically, as in wallpapers and carpets and flooring that we could place. Now, it doesn't have to just be for the house. It could just be, this is a couple of mil thick white sheet that you can orientate how you want, or a textured sheet, or you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be like, this is wallpaper and it only works on the wall. But it would be nice to have things that we could use for that. I know that I have put the sand down from one of the purchases that I made. There's like a Zen garden thing that they put onto the gem store. I think I wrote down the name of it. The Meditation Garden Homestead Pack is what I bought. And I've used those. So it is creative use of things that are already there, but it would be nice to have some assets that we can use as wallpaper and floor decoration and ceiling decorations as well, so that we can get away from the log cabin look of the building. And of course, while we're at it, it would be nice if it was possible to have Sylvari themed housing, or Norn themed housing, or Krytan themed housing, or Ossen themed housing, or the decorative styles of the Crystal Desert, or Joko with the kind of undead themed buildings and paraphernalia. So I'm really hoping that we will not just be forever in the code and theme of this homestead. It would be nice to have some agency over it, have the ability to change how the buildings look, where the buildings are placed, obviously, and really kind of make it our own, bring our own aesthetics to bear on it. And talking about aesthetics, let's talk about flowers and plants and shrubs and trees. So one of the best things, one of the most engaging things that I've found in other games, specifically Palia, is the ability to grow flowers and to grow trees and to place them wherever you want to, and to basically be able to have and create beautiful gardens. And beautiful gardens around your home. And at the moment we do have some flowers, but it's very limited. It feels it's very constrained. There aren't many styles at the moment. So I'm hoping that they will lean into lots of greenery, lots of shrubs, bringing in existing game assets so that players can have them and play with them and make beautiful environments in this place. The ability to actually grow flowers, to have a garden, to have a farming plot here would also be wonderful. We have what looks like a farming plot, but we can't farm it at the moment. Also, pathing when it comes to exterior world building. I find that when I want to make something from scratch, pathing is a very good place to start. And at the moment, I know that there are probably things that we can put down on the floor for pathing, but it would be nice to have some tiled pathing, to have the ability to place tile pathing, something very specifically built for that would be lovely. And I'm sure that there are many, many more things that the community have talked about. I guess the last thing I want to talk about, because I have been banging on about homesteads for a little while now, and we're probably getting a bit too long in this video, but I've run into 2 game halting bugs with homesteads. So the first bug I encountered was to do with crafting. So I'd maxed out my mastery, I'd spent all the points, but my crafting didn't upgrade. So I was stuck at, it was something like 226 and I needed 229 or something like that, and it was stuck. And I'm like, do I need to craft something? No, it's to do with the mastery system. And then I wrote to them and they said, we know about this bug and we're going to fix it at some point. Keep an eye out on the forum. And a week or 2 later, and they did fix it. But it was disappointing to run into a bug that basically stopped me being able to craft. And now, as of the time that I'm making this video, I have lost basically everything that I've crafted and everything that I've picked up in my home instance. They just disappear. I can't see them in my inventory. Obviously, they shouldn't be in my inventory. They should be in the Homestead bank, and they're not there. Talked to a friend of mine. Hello, Tanner. And they said that it might be that my interface is just not updating with the items. They're there. It will have registered, because it certainly registered that I was using the materials. But yeah, I can't decorate my home. I can't move anything. I can move stuff, but I can't pick it up. And I can't craft anything because it doesn't appear. That's a couple of bugs that are fairly detrimental to decorating your home. And it's unfortunate. And so I contacted the dev team again, and I got basically exactly the same response. We know this is happening. There's nothing we can do for you individually, and we're working on it. This has been happening since the feature launched, and it's got progressively worse for me, and I'm just hoping that in the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, that gets fixed. And I guess that's a bit of a Debbie Downer to kind of end this video on, but it's the reality of my gameplay experience, and probably the gameplay experience of a number of the community. Hopefully not a significant number. I wouldn't wish this on anyone who's really wanting to interface with this gameplay loop. But yeah, that's the reality. So, my overall take. Homesteads are good. Homesteads could be great, but we need more diversity, we need more ability to modify the environments, we need more ability to move all the things in the environment, we need them to fix the bugs. But it's a brand new feature, and I was there when World of Warcraft introduced their player housing, which was garrisons, and that was probably one of the most disastrous Bugy launches in all of WoW history, where their instance system broke, and I play Alliance most of the time, and the sky just filled with hundreds of griffins as people glitched the hell out, and it was hilarious, and it took days and days and days to fix. So yeah, on a scale of Warcraft garrisons to perfected delivery, and it's never perfect, we're not so bad. I can still get into my homestead. The server doesn't crash and burst into flames, which is great, but I know that they're going to get it right, and I know that they're going to fix all this stuff. And because the community has been so overwhelmingly positive about this new gameplay feature, I feel like they're going to give it a lot of DLC. So we have hope, and I hope that my stuff magically appears back in my bank. Do let me know if you agree, disagree with all this in the comments. But we have come to the very end of my fairly rambly video about homesteads. I would really love to have a chat with you guys in the comments, and I really do chat with you guys in the comments. I always try and reply to everybody within, I think, the first week or so. I try to talk to everybody and reply and have conversations down there. I am a member of this community. I don't get to talk to a lot of people because I'm a bit hermitish online, really. So having a chat with you guys and kind of checking the pulse of the community down in my comment section is fantastic. I love that you engage with me seriously and you listen, and I couldn't be more proud of the community that Guild Wars 2 has built, and more proud of the community around the channel, which is just amazing. So yeah, I'll see you down in the comments. Let's have a good old chinwag about the future of homesteads. And whilst you're down there, please do show some love to my wondrous, fantabulous, fantastical supporters over on Patreon and Subscribestar who keep the lights on here and help me make content and lift my spirits and take the mickey out of me in my private Discord with them. My patrons parlor on Discord. It's nice, it's lovely, they're great, and honestly, could never thank them all enough for sticking with me with my terrible content schedule. Yes, it's pretty rough, but they stick with me because they know that being a disabled content creator is a struggle sometimes. So I love them for that, and I love you for watching, and I really appreciate Guild Wars 2 as well and their partner program, despite the fact that I can be a grumpy cabbage about some things in game, and I have a fair deal of criticism but a great deal of love for them and respect for what they do, and they allow me to be part of their partner program, which helps the channel because they give me these links that you can use to buy the game, which cost you not a penny more but help me out directly. And it's amazing that they support their content creating community as well. So it's all very wholesome and good in here. I understand that the rest of the internet can be a bit of a shitstorm out there at the moment, especially. And I'm very happy that we have a little kind, sweet community here on the internet, and I really appreciate it. But sadly, we have come to the end, so if you like this video, please do like it. If you think other people might like it, do share. And if you would like to see more videos like this, do press that subscribe button, and I'll try to deliver content a little bit more regularly, hopefully. I always say that. It's always a disaster. So until we meet again, please do stay safe, stay awesome, and thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.